Dharma Bites is brought to you by Free Buddhist Audio, the Dharma for your life. Our work is funded entirely by donations from our generous listeners. If you would like to help us keep this free, make a contribution at freebuddhistaudio.com/donate. Thank you, and happy listening.
So this desire to escape the messy, complex business of being a human being and your life, or our lives, I think it can be very attractive. I think even the fantasy of spirituality can be quite intoxicating. I think it's fair to say, if I look at my own life, I got involved in Buddhism at a very young age. I was 21 when I first went on to classes and learned to meditate. I think probably for the first 10, 15 years, maybe, of my initial exploration of the Dharma, there was an element of spiritual bypassing going on. That's not to say there was not lots of great fruits coming out of learning to meditate, exploring the teachings of Buddhism, Sangha, etc. But I think, if I'm honest, I found as a young man life complex, overwhelming, stepping into life more fully a bit daunting. Maybe we all have that. And in some ways, the realm of spirituality seemed to offer an escape where I wouldn't have to deal with all that mess, all the crap of life and growing up and engaging in some way. I'm going to quote John Welwood again, because recently I read a very good article where he's being interviewed about this, and this was something he spotted in his own experience as a Buddhist and in his own sanghas he was involved in. And I think this captures what I found in my own experience in hindsight. He says, when we are spiritually bypassing, we often use the goal of awakening or liberation to rationalize what I call premature transcendence, trying to rise above the raw and messy side of our humanness before we have fully faced and made peace with it. And then we tend to use absolute truth to disparage or dismiss relative human needs, feelings, psychological problems, relational difficulties, and developmental deficits. He says, I see this as an occupational hazard of the spiritual path, in that spirituality does involve a vision of going beyond our current karmic situation. So it's a sort of near enemy of, as he says, an occupational hazard, which I like the word, of being involved in a spiritual path that potentially, and again this won't apply to everyone, that there can be a sort of near enemy of, we can fall into that, as it were. This sort of negating the sort of messy humanness of our lives with a quick sort of side transcendence, because we think that's just don't have to deal with that.
We hope you enjoyed today's Dharma Bite. Please help us keep this free. Make a contribution at freebuddhistaudio.com/donate. And thank you.